Thank you, and good morning, everybody. William Barclay, the Scottish theologian, once said, "Always give without remembering, always receive without forgetting." I'm very touched by the Circle of Honor in all the programs that you do, including yesterday, you guys packaging meals for people in need in the city of Orlando, and last year in Dallas, I remember you did some good as well. Aristotle said, educating the mind is important, but educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. So it speaks bundles about each of you and all of you and about TFA in general, that you care deeply about the society in which you live. And then when I think about what you guys do, I mean, the opportunities for you are unbelievable. You mostly serve Middle America, that group that sometimes advisors forget about. You got those wealth advisors. I'm on the board of BB&T, so I know a lot about this stuff. And the opportunities have never been better. This country has opportunities for those who are willing to work hard enough and smart enough like we've never seen before. So, Seth, I'm glad to be with you here this morning. I'm always glad to be with men and women who kind of work for themselves and on themselves. That's all I've done all my life. If you don't hunt, you don't eat, baby. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You're my kind of people. You're my kind of people. When I first became president of High Point University, about January the 20th, I arrived January the 1st, somebody brought me a little envelope with a window in it, and they handed it to me. I said, "What is that?" They said, "That's your paycheck." I'd never had a paycheck in my life. If I sold, I made money. If I didn't sell, I made nothing. If I sold a lot, I made a lot of money. If I just sort of slept in, I didn't make anything. So the guy came back on February the 20th and brought me another envelope. And I said, "What's that, dude?" He said, "That's your paycheck." I said, "You've already given me one. Here it is." He said, "No, that was for January. This is for February." I said, "Are you going to come back every month?" He said, "This is a racket." Unbelievable. If I were a king for a day, nobody would make a paycheck unless they performed, by golly. So you're my kind of people, and I'm glad to be with you this morning. Look, America's going through a lot of change, but this company believes in investing in you, and you in turn, you're investing in the community and investing in yourselves, and that's really what it's all about. I know a little something about change because some of you may have heard me tell the story that I came to America when I was 17 years of age. I could hardly speak the English language, had $50 in my pocket, and really didn't have any connections. And so I came to this country with a heart filled with hope and a soul filled with desire, and that's why I love this morning, starting with the National Anthem. Do you understand something? I have spoken 6,000 times to every kind of organization you can shake a stick at. And I am shocked at how many times I speak, and that American flag is not on the stage. And there is no recognition of the National Anthem. I mean, I'm talking about entrepreneurial companies. I feel like getting the president to the side and saying, without free enterprise and capitalism and the opportunities of this country, you wouldn't even have this company and an American flag and a little recognition. It's a good thing, man. It's a good thing. When I became president of High Point University, I said we're a God, family, and country school, by golly, and we put up a couple of hundred American flags around campus. You got to dare not just to be proud, but to be grateful. To be grateful that we live in a country where we can speak our piece and do our work. And so I just want you to know, Seth, I'm honored to see that happen here this morning, and I'm very pleased. And I'll tell other people about you for doing that today. Now look, I came to America and I landed in a little town called Mount Olive, North Carolina. It's a small town of 5,000 people. So there I was in Mount Olive. Somebody said, "Why would you come 7,000 miles away to end up in Mount Olive? Why not Chicago, New York, Dallas, Orlando, Los Angeles?" I said, "Because Mount Olive Junior College was the only school who would accept a guy like me, and I'm eternally thankful that they took me in. I was a stranger, and they took me in. It took me years to figure out, well, why in the world did they really accept me? And I finally figured it out. Mount Olive Junior College was and is a Free Will Baptist school, and I'm convinced the director of admissions must have thought to himself or herself, this boy comes from the Holy Land, we got to take him. What if he's the Messiah? Took him a couple of days to figure out this dude ain't no Messiah. But I was glad to be right there doing my thing in Mount Olive, North Carolina. I couldn't speak English, so I took a 3x5 card. And I worked 10 hours a day to make my way through school. And I had to learn the language I'm using here this morning by taking a 3x5 card, putting 10 English words on this card today, memorizing the spelling and the meaning of those 10 words. Tomorrow, a 3x5 card, memorizing the spelling and the meaning of those 10 words and reviewing the 10 words from the day prior. And the next day, a 3x5 card. You're getting the idea. I gave myself Sunday off. By Saturday, I was learning 10 new English words and reviewing 50 from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The average American has 5,000 words in their vocabulary. I have 3,200 and some words, 60 words a week, multiplied by 52 weeks. Smart guy the other day, could have been a financial advisor, asked me this question. He said, you learn English on 3x5 cards. I said, that's right. He said, sir, do you mind telling me what was the very first word on the very first card? Good question. Nobody had ever asked me that question before. I said, you've asked me a good question. I have to give you an honest answer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, don't get mad at me. I'm going to give you an absolutely honest, accurate answer. The very first word on the very first card was this word. Dumbass. Now, please understand something. I had no idea what that word meant. I just heard it repeated 30, 40 times every day. And I figured if I got to live in this country, I got to learn this word. Took me years to figure out why this word is the most important word in the English language, but I figured it out. Have you noticed when you call somebody a dumbass, nobody goes, what do you mean? We know exactly. I think I must have misspelled the word, left the B out and put one S at the end, but that's kind of my story. It was a story of perseverance, of hope, of faith, of courage. In many ways, my story is your story. Having faithful courage to get up in the morning and go about your work again. Helping families to secure themselves for a long time to come. See, my father died when I was 6. Somebody wrote a story about me the other day. The Biography Channel aired a story of my life and asked me the question, if you could have changed one thing in your life, what would you have most changed in your life? I said, I know the answer. If I had the power to change something in my life, I would have much rather have had a father. There's no question about it. A father would have seen me on his lap, read me a book, sang me a song. A father would have taken me to the circus or thrown me a ball or just talked with me man to man. But that was not my fate. Isn't it amazing, dear friends, that out of adversity, which we abhor and it scares us to death, we've heard some examples of it here this morning, that out of adversity can emerge abundance. That the most difficult of times that you experience in your life can lead you to the most prosperous of times in your life. And so there was my mother. Now, my mother had 4th grade education. I'd put my mother against 25 PhDs from the finest Ivy League schools of your own picking. Here's why. My mother had a postgraduate degree in a discipline you and I would call common sense. Someone said, you know the trouble with common sense? It ain't as common as it used to be. I think maybe there's some truth to that. My mother would work day and night to feed us, to clothe us, but mostly to instill in us values for life and principles for living. She would say to me things like this: if you want to be a great person, Neido, you must first walk hand in hand, side by side, with people who are great. In other words, if you want to be happy, you must hang around happy people. If you want to be successful, you must hang around successful people. If you want to be rich, find out what poor people do and don't do it. Translated into these words, who you spend time with is who you become. The zone in which you reside will influence the person that you become. Think of the koi fish. You take a koi fish, put it in a fish bowl, give it all the water you want to give it, all the food you want to give it. The koi fish never grows to more than about 2 inches in size. Take the koi fish out of the fish bowl and throw it in a lake somewhere, and what happens to the koi fish? Grows to about 1 foot in size. Moral of the story simply is the koi fish grows proportionately to the environment in which it resides. No different than you and me. Now, when the koi fish sat in that little fish bowl, somebody was giving it water, somebody was giving it food. It was easy life, you might say. There was no threat to its existence. So it became lazy and comfortable. Somebody said 98% of America would rather be comfortable than be excellent. What a sad statistic, if anywhere close to true. But the moment that you put the koi fish into that lake, there are other fishes in the lake, and they have one thing on their mind: how quickly can I devour the koi fish? So the lake is deeper, and therefore the water is colder, and therefore the koi fish had no choice but to become stronger, to survive and thrive. No difference than you and me. That's why we must persevere, even in the face of challenges. That's why we must have faithful courage. That's why we must see opportunity even in the midst of difficulty. That's why a really solid advisor, each of you, is that person, is never scared of a no, because behind in every no there's a potential yes. And that's the way life works. My mother said something else that was profoundly useful too. She said, you know, the circumstances in which you find yourself today do not determine where you end up. Listen to me now. The circumstances in which you find yourself today do not define where you end up. They only define where you start. Only define where you start. In other words, it's not your circumstances that define the person you become. It's your choices that define the person you become. It's your choices that define the person you become. You are where you are in your life today based on the choices that made in your life. Therefore, whining is for losers. Whining doesn't get us anywhere. We must stand tall and accept responsibility for the choices that we made in our life. And we must amend them, realign them, correct them, improve them if we want to have better results. I have a friend, you're not going to believe this. I have a friend, his name is Jack. Jack has been married 8 times. The last time Jack got married, we all printed bumper stickers that said, honk if you've been married to Jack. So there isn't a person in this room today who doesn't have a to-do list. You can't survive without it. You might have it on a piece of paper, you might have it in your iPad, you might have it in your laptop, you might have it in your iPhone, but you've got a to-do list. Call this, write this, meet this, do this. Ladies and gentlemen, I wonder how many of us in this room this morning, at this 2014 TFA exchange, I wonder how many of us, this Hilton Hotel in a city named Orlando, I wonder how many of us have a to-be list. Not a to-do list, transactional, but a to-be list, transformational. To become, not just to do. See, here's the irony. You cannot have a to-be list without having a stop-doing list. Because to change, to become, to improve, to realign, you have to stop doing some stuff. Simple as that. If any one of us needed to lose 5 or 10 pounds, we have to stop doing something. Don't eat Snickers. Don't drink 4 beers in a row. And all of a sudden, stop doing that might improve us in this area of our life, or any area of life. But if you had a to-be list, what would be on your to-be list? Because that's telling. This day and age, we're no longer, I tell my students this, we're no longer competing in a continental USA. We're competing on a global platform. We're dealing with BRICS today, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These are the economies that are trying to drown our economy slowly and cumulatively. And so you can see how new generations have to be sharper than we've ever been, have to be more determined than we've ever been, have to have a sense of tenacity and perseverance more than you and I have ever had. So in other words, what you choose is what you get. Who you spend time with is who you become. Then she said one other thing that's really come to be prophetic in many ways. She says, how you change is how you succeed. Implied in that statement is that you must change. The world around us is changing, we must change. Change in a productive, meaningful, transformational way. And think of it, for the timid, change is frightening. For the comfortable, change is threatening. But for the confident, change is opportunity. And the real question we ought to be asking ourselves this morning in this ballroom is this question. Where does confidence come from? What makes some of you so spectacularly successful at what you do? Where did you get that sense of confidence to do what you do? And the answer, I think, is obvious. Competence leads to confidence. When you are competent, by definition, therefore, you become confident. The opposite of that is foolish, is non-sustainable, it's not authentic. So where does competence come from? Knowledge, skills, experience. In part, that's why you are at this exchange. Knowledge, skills, experience lead to competence. Competence leads to confidence. Confidence leads to commitment. Commitment leads to execution. Execution leads to results. Results lead to a better life. Not complicated. So that means school really is never out for the pro. Investing in you is a wonderful theme for the year. The real question is, how much are you investing in you? What are you doing every single day to become a better person? Every day before I go to sleep, I ask myself this question. What did I learn today I did not know yesterday? What did I learn today I did not know yesterday? I could be sitting in a meeting like this, and I was in a conference the last 2 days. I could listen to 15 speakers. 14 of them could be as boring as anything you can imagine. My attitude is, I'm going to learn something from that guy. That guy, sooner or later, is going to say something that can move the needle for me. And I'm listening to it to get that point. And then I want to study it. I want to memorize it. I want to put it in a card. I want to make it a part of my life. Would you play a game with me, please? Finish this sentence for me, everybody. Garbage in? Garbage out. Absolutely not. I hate to tell you, as a college president, you've just flunked. No. I wish life were that easy. I wish garbage in, garbage out. That is absolutely not true. Here's what is true. Garbage in, garbage stays. It's worse than that. Garbage gets pregnant, gives birth to triplets. When garbage enters your mind, it does not exit your mind. It buys a condominium and sits there. And over time, it becomes cumulative. That's why cynics become cynics. They were not born cynics. It's a cumulative process. That's why skeptics are skeptics, because they're non-accepting. They're non-accepting because over time, garbage entered their mind and they began to become negative people. So the real point, therefore, is to ensure that garbage doesn't enter our psyche in the first place by doing the things my mother talked about. hang around in zones that are positive, not negative, by making choices that are productive, not useless. So, it's true. Change is here. And the ones who are going to prosper because of it are the ones who understand this very simple formula. That if you want to improve the results that you have in your life, material or otherwise, it's not just about improving your behaviors. It's about improving your beliefs. What I believe leads me to do what I do. What I do leads me to get what I got. It's that simple. Before I speak, I've spoken 6,000 times over the last 35 years. Before I speak, I have a very simple formula. Even though they want me to come from the back, I stand in the back over there for a while. I watch you as you walk in. And I tell myself, these are normal people. They look just like me. They're just like the wonderful audience I had last week. They're going to be terrific. I'm just going to go up there, open up my heart, and share with them. And they're going to be just fine. I have to believe that before I can take the stage and talk to you, not in a memorized form. I'm just sort of sharing with you what's in my heart and what's in my mind. I have to believe it. Once I believe it, I'm totally relaxed. There's no fear. I'm just like sitting in your living room. I'm just talking to you. You've invited me to your home, and here I am. Your beliefs lead to your behaviors, lead to your results. You want to improve the results? Improve your beliefs. Why do you think that 50% of America's households are one paycheck away from bankruptcy? I know there are a lot of reasons, but in part because of beliefs. 80% of America's households have a net worth of under $100,000, regretfully so. That's why we need you so desperately in society. But tell me this, why are immigrants to America not once, not twice, not thrice, but 4 times as likely to become millionaires as born Americans? You educate me. I think I have the answer. The answer is that immigrants don't come to this country saying, I'm just going to go to America to check it out. They come to America fully believing that the streets of America are paved with gold. That's why I began this morning by saying, every meeting ought to begin with the National Anthem. Every state should have an American flag on it, to remind us that the opportunities are still available. They're wrapped differently. They're camouflaged in certain ways. But they're here today as much as they've ever been before. And if you don't believe me, look at these immigrants who come here from nothing and do amazing things in your life. The chips in your iPhones and other technological materials you have been mostly invented and marketed by immigrants in Silicon Valley and other places. These are people who get on their knees and thank God Almighty every day, like I do. That after filling out 38 forms, side A and side B, we had the privilege of becoming an American. There's no person graduating from High Point University today in High Point, North Carolina, since I've become president, who doesn't understand that principle. I tell our students, you live in the greatest country on the face of this earth, and God created you for a purpose. When God breathed in your nostrils and gave you life, it's called oxygen. Thank God for that oxygen. And your responsibility is to give back to God the biggest gift of all, which is what you do with your life. So don't walk around slopping around like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Shut up already. Put your head up 45 degrees and walk like you own this place. I don't care if you're going to the bathroom. Walk with total purpose and total commitment. And people will wonder, what's in the bathroom? So man, how you change is how you succeed. Your beliefs drive everything that you do. So in 2005, I arrived at High Point University. I've been in business 35 years. And they wanted me to become president. I was going to be the chairman of the board. I was incoming as chairman of the board. I wanted to become president. High Point University in High Point, North Carolina had 1,400 students, 92 acres, landlocked university in the middle of a residential area in the middle of a city. Had budget revenues about $30 million. Was ranked number 17, which is not a good rank. You want to be in the top 5 among regional colleges in the South. And on and on the story goes. We had 100 professors. You know, it was a good school, but certainly not a school that was headed towards success in this 21st century in ways that are sustainable and meaningful. So what have we done in the last 8-9 years? We invested $1.1 billion in our school. Self-financed 87% of it. Raised a lot of money. And so when I came to Hyphen, I said, sure we can. Oh, yes, we can. The last 4 letters of the word American are the letters I-C-A-N. I can. There is no such word as the word impossible. You take the word impossible, add an apostrophe after the I. The word impossible becomes I am possible. I'm possible. Nobody could ever convince me otherwise. My whole life is an illustration of what I just said. Work hard, work smart, be committed, be engaged, be involved. Hang around the right people, make the right choices. Don't be afraid of change. See what happens. We're capable of doing so many things that we've never done before. And we don't cut ourselves slack when once in a while we screw up. But if you have oxygen, you have all the resources you need to make anything come to be in your life. The people who have success in a sustainable and meaningful way are the ones who only understand that they have to do a little more than what other people do. Just a little more. I teach everybody who works with me and on my team that at the end of the day, when it's about time to go home, just make one more call, write one more note, get to the office 10 minutes earlier than everybody else. Don't go out to lunch for an hour and a half every day and just shoot bull. And see what happens. That and then some puts you in a championship category. Begins to work, you begin to replicate it. Life rewards people like that. So when I arrived at Hype University, we raised a lot of money. We built 53 buildings in the last 8 years. We went from 92 acres to 380 acres. 380 acres. We had to buy hundreds and hundreds of houses. We had to negotiate with the state and with the city to give us streets to merge them into the university. Of course, at every turn, there is a minority of people who are going to be against you. Of course. I mean, anybody who thinks they're going to get 100% of the people to always agree with them is a fool or a naive human being. You're always going to have someone who doesn't like what you do. As long as you're committed, you're thoughtful, you're honest, you're authentic, you have to push forth. And we went from number 17 to number 1 among regional colleges in the South, 1,400 students to 4,300 students. Revenues of 30 million to 200 plus million. It's a pretty amazing story. And we said, you know what? There are 4 things that got us here. And they apply to any business, anytime, individuals or corporations alike. Number 1, we created value. You have value. You have value of products. You have value of services. You have value of knowledge and experience. You're a coach in many ways. You're a mentor in many ways. You bring value to every relationship that you enter. So number 1, we created value. Number 2, we interpreted the value. This is where most salespeople fail. They create value, but they fail to interpret the value. They fail to explain to me the value of what they do. And number 3, we took away all the irritants out of the system. I won't do this with you, but I do this quite often with business audiences. I stop and I say, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I want you to write down on a piece of paper for me the 3 things that your clients find irritating about doing business with you or your company. It's amazing. Some people get them just like that. Some people sit there, scratch their head, cannot think of a one. And the ones who can't think of a one are just not attuned to the needs of their clients. And the ones who do identify the irritants, they have a challenge. The challenge is, do something about it. Get rid of them. That's what we did. We identified the irritants and got rid of them. Here's an example. In our case, like most schools, we're charging tuition, room, board, student fees, lab fees, transportation to the airport, bottle of water, concert tickets. So the parents were getting bills every week. That irritates people. I'm the father of 4. I understood that. So we took all that away. We said, you're going to pay 1 fee. Everything else is included. You're only going to get 1 bill from us in August, 1 bill for us in January, and that's it. And guess what happens to our giving? Our parents went from giving us $8,000 a year collectively to last year $17 million from parents of current students. This is pretty remarkable. It's amazing what happens when you remove all the irritants. So now we don't charge them for this and this and this and this. We just charge them $1 million a semester and everything. Everything is included and everybody's happy. And the last thing we did is we added wow. to the experience. Wow. We saw some wow this morning. This is wow. Beautiful color, nice iMac, beautiful hotel. The drummers that came out here this morning, cool. We saw a video. That's wow. They could have simply had just one little cheap-looking, lectern over here, and Seth could have just stood there and talked to you, and, 5 of the bulbs could be out, and they could have handed you out a little, sausage biscuit from McDonald's, and that would have been it. But of course, TFA understands that wow plays a role in life. You have to add wow. What are the wows that you bring in? Sometimes I'll ask people to stop and list 3 wows that they bring to the experience. What wows do you bring to your experience? That's what we did. And we took off in measurable ways. I've discovered in my life that there are really 4 things that we have to do to excel and succeed even in difficult times. The first one is we have to go beyond communicating. You can't just communicate with people, you have to connect with people. You, more than any other audience, understands that. Because your entire business, your livelihood depends on you building bridges of understanding with the people whom you choose to serve. That you're not just going to give them a lecture about financial planning or about insurance products. You are going to have to connect with their fears, their needs, their goals, and their aspirations. And shy of that, you can't build a bridge of understanding. And sometimes when you communicate with people, it doesn't work out the way you want it to work out. So I'm going to play a little game with you. I'm going to play a little quick game with you now. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. For some of you, this will be hard. 3 seconds to find someone sitting next to you and make him your partner. Don't start yet. In about a second, I'm going to give you an opportunity to find a partner sitting next to you. Make him, a person sitting next to you, make him your partner. You're going to have to take his or her hand, hold it up high. I am watching you. All right, are we clear on this? Some of you may have to move to make it work, but I want you to find a partner, hold his or her hand up high so I know that you got it. If you don't move fast, you'll be left out in the cold. Are you ready? 1, 2, go for it. Let's see the partner. Let's see the partner. Let's see the partner. Well done. Well done. You're good. You're good. You're good. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Hands down. You did good. I'm proud of you. Now look. You and your partner, I'm going to give you 3 seconds to decide who's going to be number 1 and who's going to be number 2 in this little partnership. Are you ready? Go for it. 1, 2. All right. Excellent. The way you decided who is number 1 and who is number 2 tells us a lot about you clinically. Some of you are messed up. Some of you looked at your partner and you went, I will be number 1. I've always been number 1 and you're not changing my mind today. Some of you looked at your partner and you went, you be number 1, as if to say, I, the royal king or queen, bestow upon you the privilege. But I giveth and I taketh away, by golly. And I hope none of you looked at your partner and you went, look at me, man. Look at me. I've always been a 2, dude. Don't confuse me by elevating me today. I am fine being a loser. Yes, sir. Yes. Okay. So number 1 now, would you open up your hands like this, number 1? Thank you very much. Number 2, open up your hands like this. Thank you very much. Number 1, face number 2. Number 1, face number 2. Number 2, face number 1. Number 1, place your hands gently, kindly, softly on number 2's hands. If you fall in love, it's okay. On the count of 3, number 1, I'm talking to you. Number 1, I'm talking to you. On the count of 3, I want you to push as hard as you can. If you kill him, don't worry. TFA's got plenty of insurance. Are you ready? 1, 2. Number 1, push, push, push. Show us your goods. Come on, Olympic champion. Come on, push, push. Who's pushing over here? Push. All right. Thank you very much. Look back at me. Some of you... It's clear to me that some of you had a rough childhood. Because you couldn't wait to just attack, man. It's been building up within you for years and years. All right, number one, let me ask you a question, number one. Did I give you instructions as to what to do with your hands, yes or yes? Number two, did I give you instructions as to what to do in response, no or no? Number two, what did you do? Push back. Now, I would like for number one of you, number twos, to tell me why you push back. Raise your hand so I can find you. Number two, where are you? Number twos, I want you to tell me why you push back. Yes, ma'am? Say again, please. You want to be knocked out of your chair? Is this an abusive husband you're with here this morning? Have you been knocked off your chair before, ma'am? Okay. It's just fear within you, huh? If he pushes me too hard, I'll lie down on the floor. Okay. Another hand went up here somewhere. Number two, yes, ma'am. Survival. Oh, my goodness. Whoa. You needed, this is how you survive? Okay. Do you know this man before today, or you just met him? You've known him for a while? Okay. Well, here's the point. You resisted, number two, correct? You resisted. What happened when you resisted? Number two, when you pushed back on number one, what did make number one do? Push harder. And when number one pushed harder, number two, you said, okay, I have to push harder, which made number one push even. Where's this game going to end? When somebody wins and somebody loses. And that's the critical issue with communicating. Is that you can, as a communicator, be a clear communicator and win. But if the other person loses, they will emotionally never forget that. So in essence, you really lost. What we're looking for are win-win relationships, not win-lose relationships, not lose-win relationships. It's when we both win, when we both connect with each other, that the essence of traveling from communication to connecting takes place. Did anyone here, number two, not push back? Yes, right there. You didn't push back, sir? You didn't push back? I didn't tell you to. So what did you do? You just sit there and said, take me, take me. So if you didn't push back, see, there was no resistance, so he couldn't really push any harder because it wouldn't be fun, right? Exactly right. So number one, we got to go from communicating to connecting. Here's number two. I've discovered that to really deal with these ever-changing times, we have to go beyond selling. Selling is a very honorable profession. I'm a salesman at heart in everything I've ever done. Whether you sell your ideas or your products, your services, and all the businesses I've had, I've run, I've started, they're all embedded on sales. I own a company called Great Harvest Bread Company. Has 240 stores around the country, for example. If no sales took place, we would have no revenues, we'd have to shut down. I get it. Nothing happens till somebody sells something. But you see, the real essence lies in positioning, not in selling. Because when you position yourself as an expert in the field, I will listen to you more. You're no longer dumping something on me. I am now trying to extract something from you. So when you speak, I listen, I learn, and I respond positively. Let me give you an example of what I mean. If you go to Walmart and you buy Hershey's Kisses, this is a sort of a Christmassy bag of Hershey's Kisses. This is 1 pound of Hershey's Kisses. Must be 150 kisses in this bag. I'd like for someone to tell me, how much does this one bag of Hershey's Kisses sell for? $1.89, $6.50. You guys are on the margins. You haven't been shopping lately. I know that. $8. You don't know. Who said $8? You don't know what you're talking about. You just want to be noticed here this morning. $8 for a pound of Hershey's Kisses. Ladies, come on, educate him. How much does this cost? Tara, you don't know what you're talking about. Move over there. Sit next to him. What is it? $1. That's it. That's it. Say it out loud. That's right. It's $3.99 or $4. You're absolutely right. That's what this bag of Hershey's Kisses sells for. So this is chocolate, 1 pound, $4. Ladies and gentlemen, This is 1 pound of chocolate. It is called Godiva. I would like for only the men, no women, just the men, to volunteer and tell me how much this box of Godiva sells for. Which gentleman would like to tell me? How much? $10. $10 for this? You must have the lousiest sex life in this room of anybody right here. Now I got a gentleman on the front who said $40 and his wife looks happy. $40 is exactly the right number. And you were saying $40 too, right, sir? The jacket? I saw you do this. Or did you mean $4? Okay, $40. This is $40. This is $4. Now let me remind you, chocolate, 1 pound, $4, 10 times $4. Are you kidding me? What has Godiva done to position themselves in such a way that people are willing to pay for this box as much as they pay for 10 of these? Here's the answer. You buy Hershey's to eat. You buy Godivas to give. I'll prove it to you. When was the last time you bought a $40 box of Godivas and ate it on the way home? Look at this. No respect for these chocolates. They came in the bag, they filled them up, they dumped them in the box. They're sitting in Walmart, you pick them up. You would never give this to someone. Even if you're a cheapskate, you take 10 or 15 of these, you buy $1 at the dollar store, a little mug, you put that fluffy paper, you put that in there, then you go home and say, "Happy anniversary, honey." This baby, you don't have to do anything to it. It's already packaged with a ribbon and all. And these chocolates get a lot of respect in Belgium where they're made. In fact, you could just see it now. The guys with the white gloves hold the box like this. Pick the piece of chocolate. Put it in this box. Every piece of chocolate in this box resides in its own private condominium. These over here live in a, I'm not quite sure what you want to call it, but they live in a commune of sorts, just together. So which one are you? All right, so the point is positioning. Godiva has positioned itself in such a way that literally people are willing to pay 10 times as much on Hershey's. You know, as I know, that Hershey's are just fine. They taste good. In fact, with me, I prefer Hershey's over Godiva's, believe it or not. But I would never give Hershey's to somebody. When you position yourself in such a way that people want to do business with you, your business takes off. So the 3 questions of positioning are these. Why should someone do business with me? How easily can somebody else imitate what I do? And if I were in the marketplace to buy what you have to sell, would I think of you first? Or would I think of you second? Or would I think of you at all? Here's a third thing that I think we've got to do if we're going to succeed in these ever-changing marketplace that's global in nature, not just continental, is that we have to go beyond training to education. That we have no choice but to be educated. And educated from the inside out. The word education comes from a Greek derivative, eduko, which means to change from within. Education, therefore, is a journey. It's not a destination. It's a continuum. It's ongoing. You must do it every day. And so, you know, when you train somebody, you teach them the how. When you educate somebody, you teach them the why. The person who knows the how will always have a job. The person who knows the why will always be their boss. When you train somebody, you show them what to do. When you educate somebody, you show them how to be. Being, not just doing. That's what we're trying to do with college kids. If we can teach them to be entrepreneurial, do you know this? This will shock you. The average college kid in college today will have 29 jobs in their life. 29. That's how fast the world is moving. And they will be out of a job because we no longer need a human being to do that job. Or they have to be completely re-educated. But if you educate them to be entrepreneurial, they'll always find a way to do it. That's why I began this morning by saying, I admire you so much because you're my kind of people. You're entrepreneurial. You get it. You understand it. And so it's all about education. Somebody here must be thinking, well, now wait a minute. Training, education, they really mean the same thing. Now look, I'm in the business of education, and I'm in the business of giving like you are, and one of the greatest things I've done in my life, because somebody paid my way through college anonymously, without me ever finding out. Not paid all my way, but filled the chasm between what I owed the school at Mount Olive and what I paid the school. And on that day when I found out about it, I cried my eyes out. I knelt by the side of my bed, and I promised God Almighty that someday I too will do something to help somebody else go to college. And when my first year in business in 1973, I was living on Swanson dinners, 3 for $1. I still took $500 and gave it away to a scholarship. Since then, we've given millions and millions of dollars to hundreds and hundreds of students who would not have gone to college if it weren't for this opportunity from our foundation. We funded the foundation over the years from all of the books I've written 17 books, and all of the, which in itself is an amazing thing for a guy who learned the English language, recorded hundreds of CDs and DVDs, and gave all that money away to support students. When I speak like this with the permission of your leadership, I give people an opportunity to get everything I know. I've been consulting some of the largest corporations in this country. I get 1,000 inquiries a year for my speaking like this. And I've been very blessed beyond my wildest imaginations in every way, at every turn. And so I say I don't really do much consulting except with about half a dozen companies. I don't have the time running a university and speaking about 100 times a year. I came to this country with $50. I built 6 businesses. It's pretty amazing how when you work hard enough and smart enough and have the right beliefs, you can do something in this country. And I raised hundreds of millions of dollars at High Point University because in part I gave the first gift. When I went to see my friends, I said, I'm willing to do this. I hope you'll join me. So in a way, it's a mission to help America's kids prepare themselves for a competitive world that lies ahead. But more importantly, it's a way for you to garner an enormous amount of knowledge and wisdom that I've gathered over all these years in one place. I'm going to stand in the back after I finish. I know this meeting goes on. If you'd like that, just come up there, talk to me, give me your card, and I will send you the material. Let me end with the last point. I said we have to go from communicating to connecting, selling to positioning, training to education. Here's the last one. We have to go from success to significance. Dear friends, I don't know what success is. If you ask Donald Trump, he'll say it's making a lot of money. If you ask Ted Turner, he'll say it's building a media empire. If you ask Albert Einstein, he'll say it's unraveling the secrets of the universe. If you ask Mother Teresa, she would have said it's feeding the hungry, tending to the needs of the poor in the back alleys of Calcutta, back alleys of every city and every continent in our universe. I do know this, though. Success is never enough. Whether you're a billionaire or whether you have enough money to live comfortably in your life, success is never enough. Happiest people I know reside in a zone of significance. The best way I can define the word significance is with one English word called impact. The impact that you make with your life. That every person who crosses your path somehow, some way, benefits from you. That your life impacts our society, our community, TFA, your family, your church, whatever you fill in the blank. That's what it's really all about. This little boy in the mountains of North Carolina walked up to a very wise man, asked him this question. He said, wise man, you have all the answers to all the questions. I have a question for you. Right here in the palms of my own 2 hands, I have a tiny little bird. You tell me, sir, is this bird alive or is it dead? The wise man thought, and he thought some more. My boy, he said, if I were to say to you that that bird in your hand is alive, I know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to crush it, and it will be dead. If I were to say to you that that bird in your hand is dead, I know exactly what you're going to do. Ever so quietly, you're going to separate the palms of your own two hands. That bird will fly away in total freedom. You see, my boy, the wise man said, in the palms of your own two hands, you hold the power of life or death. Ladies and gentlemen, in a very real sense, in the palms of your own two hands, you hold the power too. The power to your happiness, the power to your sense of significance, the power to your future. Who you spend time with, what you choose, how you change. You hold the power in your own two hands. Live in America where the opportunities are so rampant. We all have oxygen. We have our faith, our friends, our family. We have Transamerica financial advisors that's willing to invest in you as you invest in yourself and the rest of the world. What else can anybody ever hope for? Thank you for hearing me the last hour, and God bless you. Thank you.